Hello, senior disciples, and welcome to Echoes of the Divine Way. We're kicking off a brand new series today based on the 5 disciplines of life, which are the incredibly compassionate teachings of Gong Living Buddha. And we're diving right into what might be the biggest fear any of us have on this path, the feeling that after all this time, all this effort, we're really just going through the motions. That we could spend our whole lives practicing only to find out, in our teacher's own words, the result is chun chung ha ha ha, which is a Taiwanese way of saying absolutely nothing changed at all.
So let's just start with this question right here. Does this feel familiar to you? You're busy, right? You're always at the temple. You're doing all the things you're supposed to be doing. But deep down, you're just getting more and more tired, exhausted even. It feels like you're running on a treadmill. You're putting in all this work, but you're not actually going anywhere. You know, that feeling of being spiritually stuck, of being busy but not growing? That is the exact thing our teacher wants to wake us up from today.
So here's the journey our teacher is going to take us on. We'll start with this incredibly loving welcome, a real foundation of compassion. Then, we're going to hear a pretty urgent verse that's meant to kind of shake us awake. After that, we'll face 6 very direct questions for our own hearts. We'll get to the bottom of why we feel so exhausted, and then we'll be shown a clear path out of that feeling, and finally, be called to remember and renew the sacred vow that got us started in the first place.
So when the teacher first arrived, his very first words weren't some formal greeting like, "Hello, disciples." No. They were, "My foolish children, are you at peace?" Just think about that for a second. The deep, deep tenderness in that choice of words. Foolish children isn't a put-down. It's what a parent calls their kid out of pure affection. It immediately sets this tone of unconditional love and real concern. It's like he's saying, "I see you. I see your struggles. And the very first thing I want for you is peace." Honestly, when was the last time you really let yourself feel that kind of care from our teacher?
Right after this greeting, the teacher shared a song, and the message is just pure comfort. It says, through all the ups and downs of life, the good times and the bad, you don't have to be afraid because I'm right here with you. But, and this is key, there's a condition for us to walk hand in hand with him. We have to be willing to let go of division, to quiet down all those crazy thoughts, and to just sweep away our anger. So this song, it's more than just comfort. It's actually a preview. It's like a warm hug that also gets us ready for the tougher truths that are coming, reminding us that everything he's about to say comes from this place of love.
Okay, so after that loving embrace, the whole tone starts to shift. The teacher gives us this verse that's much more direct, much more urgent. But it's so important to remember that it's built on that foundation of love we just talked about. This isn't meant to make us feel bad. It's designed to wake us up, to shake us out of our complacency. It's got the urgency of a loving parent who sees their kid about to wander into traffic. The verse asks this really critical question. If we're really doing the work, one step at a time, why do all the tests and trials in our lives still feel so agonizing? Well, the teacher's answer is that the pain is coming from the unrepaired gaps in our heart nature. What are those? They're the parts of ourselves we haven't healed yet, the character flaws we ignore, the little bits of pride or resentment we keep hidden away. They're like cracks in our foundation, and as soon as life puts any pressure on us, that's where we start to break. So what gaps in your heart have you maybe been avoiding?
And this just perfectly describes the core of the problem, doesn't it? Just looking busy, always being at the temple, signing up for every single task, that can all be surface level work. And if it's not happening alongside that deep internal work on our character, on our temper, on healing those gaps, well, it's never going to clear our karmic bondage. It's kind of like polishing the outside of a car over and over while the engine is totally broken. Sure, it looks shiny, but it's not going anywhere.
And here is the absolute beauty of our teacher's method. First, he gives us these sharp truths to wake us up, but then, right away, he gives us this incredible encouragement. He knows we're going to fall. Falling is not a failure, it's just part of the journey. The real test is what you do next. Don't shrink back in shame. Use that moment, that feeling of loneliness, to refine yourself. Remember why you started this in the first place. Pick up that original vow and just keep going. He wakes us up, and then he shows us the way forward.
All right, now we get to the very heart of this teaching. But before he even asks the 6 questions, the teacher sets the stage with another challenge. He asks, after listening to so many teachings, have you been using them to get better at analyzing everyone else's flaws? Or have you been using them to honestly find your own? Oof. So many of us use these teachings to judge others, and that's just another form of going through the motions. The teacher says, cultivating the Tao means cultivating the heart. Everyone knows this. It rolls right off the tongue. but how many people truly take it to heart? Okay, question number 1, and it is brutally honest. I mean, it's pretty easy to be patient and calm at the temple, right? When you're surrounded by other practitioners. But what about at home? With your partner, your kids, your parents, the people who see you day in and day out? Has there been a real, lasting change in your temper there, in the one place your guard is all the way down?
The second question goes even deeper. Has your heart's capacity actually gotten bigger? It's one thing to be tolerant of people you don't know that well, but what about that one person? You know, the one who just gets under your skin, the one who annoys you the most. Can you genuinely, truly accept them in your heart? Because that is the real measure of a growing capacity.
Question 3 really asks for some radical honesty. It's so easy to say, oh, I've let it go, but do we really mean it? Have those old feelings of resentment, of judgment, have they really been removed from your heart? Or when you think about it, is there still a little sting, a little tightness in your chest? Your heart doesn't lie.
Oh, this one is so critical. Are we actually practicing what we're learning, or are we just becoming like spiritual librarians, just collecting more and more knowledge but never actually putting it to use? You can understand every principle in the world, but how much have you actually done? There's a massive difference between knowing the path and actually walking the path. This question asks us to be honest about where we really are.
And the fifth question takes a hard look at our ego. When someone gives you feedback or even criticism, what's your gut reaction? Is it to listen, to reflect, to be open to learning? Or is it to immediately get defensive, to argue your point, to justify yourself? That very first reaction, it tells you everything you need to know about your humility.
And the last question really wraps the whole thing up. In every situation, every single interaction, every challenge you face, is your default setting to look outward and blame someone or something else? Or is it to turn inward and reflect on yourself? Have you asked yourself why in every situation? Because that, right there, is the core of real cultivation.
So if your answer to those 6 questions was mostly no or not really, the teacher then introduces this really pointed Taiwanese phrase, Chan chen chi da ho ho. It literally means the whole tree is just as it was. In other words, nothing changed at all. It describes that heartbreaking situation where you put in years, maybe even decades of work, only to find that you're right back where you started.
And this leads to what might be the most gut-wrenching line of the entire teaching. An entire lifetime, not just a few days, but decades of your youth, your energy, your heart poured into this path. And if, at the end of it all, your temper, your capacity, your heart are basically no different than someone who never practiced at all, the teacher asks, and you can hear the heartache, not anger, in his voice, was it worth it?
So why does this happen? Why does a path that's supposed to be full of joy and liberation so often turn into this heavy, exhausting burden? Well, this next part is the diagnosis for that spiritual burnout. The teacher says it's because my disciples have lost their heart. The heart just stops looking at itself. Instead, it gets stuck spinning on me versus them, clinging to merit, treating people differently, feeling pride, anger, jealousy. It's just this constant friction between me and them. And when we bring all of that stuff into the temple just becomes an emotional battlefield. Cultivation becomes a chore. And you have to ask yourself, how can it possibly get more joyful that way? And the result is this really stark list of 6 nothings. No growth, no character cultivation, no humility, no progress, no openness, no composure. Now, this list isn't meant to crush us. It's a mirror. It's a diagnostic tool. As you look at this, which one makes you the most uncomfortable? If all 6 of them do, that's actually a fantastic place to start. Because admitting where we're falling short is the only way we can ever begin to make real progress. So, we've diagnosed the problem. But our teacher would never, ever leave us in despair. Now, we get the clear, actionable solution to lead us out of this feeling of emptiness. These are the 6 verses for sincere, real practice.
Here it is. This is the antidote. Number 1, cultivate a simple heart, one that doesn't cling to things, especially when life gets complicated. 2, serve with real sincerity, cultivating both blessing and wisdom at the same time. 3, teach from a place of genuine understanding. Share what you've actually lived, not just what you've read in a book. 4, while you're serving, use that as a chance to correct your own intention, body, and speech. 5, only guide others after you first worked on your own bad habits. And 6, keep moving forward diligently with consistent self-discipline. So, looking at these 6, which one do you feel like you need to work on the most?
We're coming to our conclusion now.
And this really reframes the whole conversation. Because this isn't just about our own personal growth. It's about realizing that our practice is tied to a sacred duty, a huge responsibility that we took on when we first made our vow.
These 3 challenges, what right do you have? They sound harsh, but they are not a rejection. They are a powerful motivation. They are a wake-up call to our purpose. The point is, if we accepted a heavenly responsibility, a vow to help the teacher, we just can't afford to have a heart that's just going through the motions anymore. The stakes are way too high. We've wasted the compassion of the immortals and Buddhas. Our one true purpose is to return to the origin, return to the source, and a practice of just going through the motions will never, ever get us there.
And so, this whole teaching leaves us with this one final, very personal question. For maybe too long, we've been handling it. Handling the temple, handling expectations. But cultivation isn't something you just handle. It is for your own life and death matter. It is for your ultimate destiny. So starting today, are you ready to stop just handling it and to start truly cultivating for yourself? The choice is ours to make. Gratitude for the grace of heaven and virtue of teachers. Thank you, senior disciples. Until next time.